It is such a joy to be here this evening with you at the 2025 Hummingbird Gala.
The American Friends of Jamaica presents its Hummingbird Gala, honoring Joseph Joe Bogdanovich and Jason Hensel.
We're celebrating business leaders. We are celebrating public servants, philanthropists.
Don't miss it this Thursday at 8 p.m. on CVMTV.
Welcome to What a Guan. Now, What a Guan is CVMTV's new Vox Pop program, Vibes Yes Vox Pop program. Hey Jamaica, you're watching What a Guan.
What a Guan.
Coming to you from Montego Bay.
Hello, my people.
What a Guan is back. The People's Program is back in full force this Monday at 8 a.m. on CVMTV.
What a Guan! What a Guan! Boss!
Good evening and welcome to Lead Story. I'm Jodi-Ann. Tonight, questions of trust, authority and accountability take center stage inside our security forces and within one of Jamaica's most powerful representative bodies. We begin with a developing national security story. The Jamaica Constabulary Force confirming this evening that following the discovery of contraband at a facility linked to its counter-terrorism and organized crime operations, a major structural change is now underway. The Firearms and Narcotics Division, FNID, is to be removed from under CTOC, raising serious questions about oversight, internal controls, and how elite police units police themselves. Then at 6:15, the courts. A judge has dismissed a legal challenge brought by former and now incoming Jamaica Teachers Association President Lasanya Harrison, confirming that the JTA properly approved a controversial wage agreement with the government. What does the ruling say about union democracy, procedure, and the limits of legal intervention? Then we take a look at history as Jamaica celebrates Reggae History Month next month. But after losing so many greats, what does it mean? Stay with us inside Lead Story. The Jamaica Constabulary Force has confirmed that following the discovery of contraband stored at a CTOC-linked facility, the Firearms and Narcotics Investigations Division will no longer operate under CTOC's command. Well, CTOC is a counter-terrorism and organized crime branch, and it sits at the very top of Jamaica's fight against trafficking, gun crime, and transnational threats. FNID, the Firearms and Narcotics Investigations Division, is tasked with investigating illicit firearms and narcotics and has operated within that structure. Now, the decision comes as the Jamaica Constabulary Force has sent out a press release this evening. I'll take you through that press release, one that we must congratulate the JCF on, one that does not wait for the news to come to the nation, but they have themselves proactively shared that information. The headline is JCF expands probe following inspectors' arrest, uncover illegal narcotics during audit of CTOC storage. Let me give you the backstory on all of that here, because this high-stakes internal investigation marks one of the most significant integrity tests for the Jamaica Constabulary Force in recent years. The situation is unfolding in two distinct but deeply connected phases. The criminal case against Inspector Martin Walker, and I'll remind you of who that is in a moment, and the administrative restructuring of the force's narcotics oversight. Let's run you back to what has taken place over the past few days. Now, on January 8, Detective Inspector Martin Walker, a 51-year-old veteran, then assigned to the Counterterrorism and Organized Crime Investigations Branch, CTOC, was intercepted by his own colleagues. With the operation, detectives from the Firearms, Narcotics and Investigation Division, FNID, intercepted Walker at a business establishment on Moore Street in Kingston, where they seized a vehicle containing a plastic bag containing 5.8 kilograms of cocaine. The illicit drugs have an estimated street value of Jamaican $3.5 million. And yesterday, inside Lead Store, we had with us the director of FNID, Firearms and Narcotics Investigations Division. We had Petray Rowe, Senior Superintendent Petray Rowe, talking to us about the work of FNID and the very clear position that the JCF has. No matter who you are, no matter where you are, you will be caught. Well, that certainly happened in this particular case. The charges, following an interview with him on January 10, that's Walker. Walker was officially charged with possession of cocaine, dealing in cocaine, trafficking cocaine, and conspiracy. Now, he appeared before the courts on January 14, where he was granted bail in the sum of about $2.5 million. Now, this is another part of that story, because what was shared today by the Jamaica Constabulary Force makes it very clear that they continue to do the work. Following Walker's arrest, Deputy Commissioner of Police Richard Stewart, who leads a crime and security portfolio, ordered an immediate top-to-bottom audit of CTOC's storage facilities. In that audit, they then discovered illegal parcels. 2 additional parcels of cocaine were discovered not outside, not in a vehicle elsewhere, but inside CTOC's own personal storage area. There were also protocol violations indicated, with the drugs not logged or stored according to the Jamaica Constabulary Force's strict exhibit management protocols. The discovery raised immediate red flags regarding whether the facility had been used to bypass official narcotics processing channels. Now, the holding of Walker first is one thing, but today we have news from the Jamaica Constabulary Force that they have found now these things. As a result, detectives assigned, they say in their press release today, to the Firearm and Narcotics Investigations Division, FNID, were immediately contacted to conduct an investigation following the discovery. So, CTOC is now going to be separated from FNID because the Firearms and Narcotics Investigations Division will now have to investigate its very own. With us to talk about this very serious issue is security consultant Robert Finzi-Smith. Good evening and welcome to
Good
Lead
evening.
Story.
I hope I find you well.
Robert Finzi-Smith, not hearing us clearly.
I said, I hope I find you well.
You do find me incredibly well, Robert Finzi-Smith, and I hope the new year has been good to you as well.
I don't complain. Everybody has a story.
Everybody has a story, but I'll tell you this much. Some stories are much more explosive than others. The Jamaica Constabulary Force now indicating that separation is taking place with FNID, that is a Firearms, Narcotics and Narcotics Investigations Division, from CTOC, the Counterterrorism and Organized Crime Branch. Explain why that is significant in policing terms.
It's a case of who is going to report to who. And if CTOC is still operational, what are the requirements for their operation? You may have crippled them.
You may have crippled them. Why do you say that?
Look at what the original mandate for CTOC was. And when you remove a linchpin of that mandate, who do they report to?
The linchpin of that mandate being the Firearms and Narcotics Investigations Division?
Most of their cases go through that.
So functionally speaking then, this is not the removal of a finger, but the removal of perhaps half the body?
Yes. You may have done not so much as you may have done an amputation.
Are we looking then at CTOC, the investigation that we now have here, that find that has now cocaine being found inside CTOC after a top to bottom search inside the organization? Does that not then mean that FNID, who would carry out the organization, would need to be operationally distinct from CTOC?
Exactly, but there's another thing I haven't heard anybody mention. Are there any ongoing cases that were brought and are being prosecuted through CTOC? What does that mean for the defendants?
Oh, so the functional issues then are the ones that you say out of this, especially the internal oversight mechanism part and talking about what the Jamaica Constabulary Force has done. It now has implications for these cases that CTOC is carrying. How so?
If I were a lawyer and you brought my clients to court, the first thing I have to do is question the veracity of the officers who have brought this case. And if the officers are on the investigation, how are they now going to contribute to the prosecution of any case?
A serious and damning question there, Robert Finzi-Smith, but the JCF has come out talking about this. It has not been leaked, it has not been raised in court as a line of defense. It is something that the Jamaica Constabulary Force, in their own press statement this evening, has now shared with the nation. Is this an admission of institutional failure or evidence that the safeguards inside the JCF are working and working well?
It depends on how you look at it. Because the question now is, how many times have we reported a robbery in the hen house to the Fox?
In terms of
fortunate question.
In terms of then that broader question that you are raising to us, that the safeguards, if they are working, still point to CTOC, the Organized Crime Branch, and the working that they have done as now tainting everything that they have done?
I'm not saying everything, but I'm just looking at it from the worst possible case scenario. I have a tendency to plan for the worst and then pleasantly surprised if it doesn't happen. But there are certain lawyers, criminal lawyers, that are probably rubbing their hands in glee because the veracity of the case is now in question.
So important that you have raised that, Robert Finzi-Smith, because this move by the Jamaica Constabulary Force does have ripple effects and consequences. Help us understand, though, how unusual is it for this step to be taken, for an elite unit to be structurally removed in this way?
It is not an everyday thing. It also indicates the depth of the rot. Because if you had confidence in the people who are supposed to be in charge of that unit, it would have been dealt with internally And when you need to bring it to the public's attention that you have come across this and you have done this and this is what has happened, then you do that. But to bring it out and almost amputate them from the rest of those cases has indicated that you had no choice. We may not yet know how deep the rot is.
This is therefore something that the country absolutely has to keep its eyes on, especially as we have seen a reduction in murders. And having spoken yesterday with the director of FNID, they've spoken about incredible fines that they have been able to do as a result of curbing narcotics here in Jamaica. But Robert Finzi-Smith, you certainly put a lot more on the minds of Jamaicans this evening as we're watching this developing story. Security consultant Robert Finzi-Smith, thanks so much for joining us inside Lead Story. Oh no, hold on, don't leave then. Don't leave, hold on. We have more with you. Stay with us inside Lead Story.
Recovery after a disaster is never an easy one. The National Housing Trust stands ready to support you with hurricane relief initiatives to help you recover stronger. With our peril insurance, payment relief moratorium, hurricane grants, and low-interest rate hurricane relief loans, we'll help you restore your home and rebuild your community. Visit our website or your nearest NHD branch for further details. Conditions apply. NHD, the key to your home.
Stir fry them, do the walk, they donate walk, then you run, and then you wheel and come in, then you donate to educate, donate to rebuild the school, donate whether small, whether big, anything at all you can donate, come out of your pocket, come out of your wallet, we need all of the donations now, ding dong, ravers, Sagitport, register now.
Jamaica's unemployment rate has fallen to 3.3%, down from 13.2% in 2016. Our government's continued focus on job creation is delivering real results. We are building Jamaica. The time by the Office of the Prime Minister is...
Welcome to What a Guan. Now, What a Guan is CVMTV's new Vox Pop program, Vibes Yes Vox Pop program. Hey Jamaica, you're watching What a Guan.
What a Guan.
Coming to you from Montego Bay.
Hello, my people.
What a Guan is back. The People's Program is back in full force this Monday at 8 a.m. on CVMTV.
What a Guan. That a Guan. Cross.
We're joined by security consultant Robert Finzi-Smith as we talk about the explosive new development shared by the Jamaica Constabulary Force today, with them now indicating that as a result of a cocaine find inside the storage facility under the control of CTOC, we now have a split that will be taking place. The Counterterrorism and Organised Crime branch of the Jamaica Constabulary Force that initially held under it the Firearms and Narcotics Investigations Division will now be splitting. And we have with us Robert Finzi-Smith to help us explain how big this is. Robert Finzi-Smith, before the break, you said to us that it is an indication of how deep the rot goes. What kind of investigation, then, are you expecting from the Jamaica Constabulary Force? And because this was a narcotics find, in particular, from FNID?
Well, must remember, that our Lord and Master up north has been sinking boats in the name of narcotics. It tells you how serious they take the matter. If we become known as a transshipment point at a certain level, we could attract attention we don't need. And then the person who is supposed to be, or the persons who are supposed to be controlling this, are now accused of facilitating it. I'm told at a loss for words, but I think this is one of the rare occasions on which I am.
The concerns then that you are raising are so significant, and this reflects or rather sends us back to reflect on the 30+ boats that have been exploded in both the Caribbean Sea as well as the Pacific, thanks to U.S. operations targeting drug vessels, specifically targeting Venezuelan and Central American vessels, with one Trinidad and Tobago national found on those vessels as well. But you're raising it to a higher level, saying that not only does it affect us here in Jamaica, but has greater conversations around it from our regional and international partners as well. What are they likely to say?
Jamaica has always, from the days of the pirates, Jamaica has been considered a major transshipment point. We have not yet made the leap to make it a legal transshipment point of note, which we should be based on our geographical location. But the fact that our geographical location is what it is has made us a prime candidate for certain things. Now, here's what's going in my mind. I don't want to, cry wolf or whatever. But there are cases, I'm certain, that have been handled by that section of CTOP that are either still in progress or have been successfully concluded. A lawyer throwing up a appeals case could very well say, how can you now claim veracity of evidence when this was brought by people you have now had to put off?
It's so sobering when you say it like that, Robert Finzi-Smith, because it compromises not only current cases but future cases, and might require some unearthing of past cases as well, since these are concerns that are being raised.
If I was an attorney and had a client who in my mind was a hit and miss situation, I would be drafting papers as we speak. And I don't know if I heard correctly, but there are people at certain rank, structure, and levels that are unfortunately implicated in this situation.
Well, Police Inspector Martin Walker had the 5.8 kilograms of cocaine seized from him on January 8th. That's something that the JCF had been very public about as well. This then for you might require the JCF to do even more, not only in separating FNID from CTOP, but also going through other parts of the JCF?
Yes, I'm suggesting humbly that we start getting a hold of some forensic equipment like lie detector tests and increasing the frequency of it. Matter of fact, go through the entire force then, because you don't know who you have. Someone said something to me a week or two ago, and I thought they were being facetious and negative. They said that the killings in Jamaica had not really gone down. It's just who was doing the killings had changed. Have you taken stock of how many police killings there have been, and the whole nation cheering, say, go, go, go?
We have, in fact, explored that in here inside Lead's story, but the police-involved shootings are ones that are under investigation by the Independent Commission of Investigations, and we've had that discussion here inside Lead's story on multiple occasions. But you are raising the specter of something much larger, because the incredible decrease in murders that we have seen last year are things that you are now saying in broader terms imply that others are involved? Are you implying
to you this.
That the Jamaican Constabulary Force is involved?
how long have we had the crime problem in terms of the killings? And how long have we been bemoaning it? And then in a very short space of time, we start whittling them down fast. Are you telling me we just found out where they are and who they were?
So then this is serious and concerning. Having found these individuals with a strategy put in place and executed by the Jamaica Constabulary Force under the leadership of Commissioner of Police Dr. Kevin Blake, they have been able to say that increase in investigative capacity, the planned operations and things of this sort have led us to these end results. But are you saying then that the Jamaica Constabulary Force has more questions to answer in this regard?
I am saying congratulations in the reduction of crime. But I am going to ask you also to check in the midst of this scenario. How many people who, what is the terminology online, unalived, who did not have weapons on them?
Well, CVM last year broke the case of Jamar Farquharson, where we were able to obtain security footage showing a very controversial series of events that led to his killing and a police-involved shooting with security forces. Are you saying that there are more of those cases that you're aware of?
I'm not just being aware of. There are people, the other day, a government minister gave evidence that was damning about the shooting on Arcadia.
And in that, speaking of, in giving evidence saying that he was afraid of his life, having his own challenges and wanting to maintain a level of anonymity. What does that mean then for you as we watch the situation?
A current government minister is said to have given evidence quite recently that he was in his house on his balcony or through the window observing an entire operation that resulted in deaths. And he said, and I paraphrase, he saw no threatening move on the people who ended up unalived.
And when you reference unalived, you're talking about killed there in that particular scenario. This is clearly something that there will be it will need ongoing conversation. But we're watching not only the recent development from the Jamaica Constabulary Force sharing that its counterterrorism and organized crime division will now be separated completely from what used to be its subsidiary, the Firearms and Narcotics Investigative Division, FNID, but also what it is that is being shared by Robert Finzi-Smith, that we're having a discussion now about the increase in police-involved shootings when compared with the reduction that we've seen in 2025 of murders. We also have a new bit of information, Robert Finzi-Smith, because the head of the Firearms Licensing Authority, the FLA, Shane Darling, has also indicated in the press to another news network, a nationwide news network, that there had been an increase in the number of people who were attempting to obtain permits for guns. But this is even after we've had a reduction in murders. Is there a lag between when people feel safe and secure and their actions?
Question is, who are they feeling safe and secure from? I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. I just call things as I see them, not as I would love them to be. My situation is there are questions to be answered that the silence is deafening. You could almost say what you're not saying is much too loud. I know of at least 5, 6 cases that have question signs against them. And there was this big who-to-do about who should wear body cameras. Now, if you're doing something that is untoward, you don't want a body camera. But if you're above board, bring the film crew. My thing is, we got so snowed under with people dying that we would take any attempt to reduce it, no matter how you question the methodology. Now, I don't want to call any names, but one of my acquaintances asked me, based on my profession, what advice would I give him for his youngster who is going out at night to party. And when I started to give him the normal beatitudes, he said, no. I said, why? He said, I'm not afraid of gunmen. I said, what you mean you're not afraid of gunmen? He said, I know what to do about gunmen. He's afraid of man being stopped, the youngster being stopped by the police.
Which is a whole then complexion on a very, very difficult conversation indeed, especially now looking at the release from the Jamaica Constabulary Force and the concerns that have been raised now about the actions of officers inside CTOC. Robert Finzi-Smith, the questions need to be asked and answered, Robert Finzi-Smith, and it's clear that we're going to have a follow-up to this discussion because who people feel safe from and the concerns that are being raised, especially as we've seen an increase in police-involved shootings, but also an incredible decrease in murders, is certainly something that is going to need further exploration. Security consultant Robert Finzi-Smith, a pleasure having you with us today inside Lead Story.
Yes, ma'am.
We're going to take a break as we have clearly gone into a conversation that is going to generate conversation. Take a break here inside Lead Story on CVMTV.
Make we do the right thing. Make we live good today for a better tomorrow. Talk it out. Don't fight it out. The time by the Ministry of National Security is
6:30.
The National Rural School Bus Program is getting smarter. With your child's student ID card, parents receive real-time notifications every time they board or exit the bus. Each card is unique and securely linked to the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth, and Information database. Tap on, tap off, and parents stay updated instantly. So, how do you register? Number 1, visit jamaica-district.mysmartterm.com/bus-portal/registration. Number 2, enter your child's details. Number 3, upload supporting documents. Number 4, submit your application. It's that easy. Safer, smarter, more secure. Register today and ride with peace of mind.
Stir fry them. Do the walk, the donate walk, then you run, and then you wheel and come in, then you donate to educate, donate to rebuild the school. Donate, whether small, whether big, anything at all you can donate. Come out of your pocket, come out of your wallet. We need all of the donations now. Ding dong, ravers, Sagiport, register.
It's January, but Reggae Month has now been launched. See, it's February, but we have to launch it in advance. And it's been launched under the theme, Rhythms of Resilience. But this year, the celebration comes against a backdrop of loss, including the passing, just this week, of Stephen Cat Core, and ongoing national reflection on the life and legacy of Jimmy Cliff. At the same time, though, we have legends alive and well and being celebrated, with the University of the West Indies honouring Marcia Griffiths with an honorary doctorate, recognising her contributions to Jamaican music and culture. But as we look at Reggae Month now being launched and look at reggae in particular, the question is now not whether we honour our greats, but whether we are doing enough to sustain reggae as a living global industry. Our guest this evening is Professor Emerita Carolyn Cooper, And hey, hello, Professor Emerita Cooper. Welcome. Thanks so much for joining us inside Lead Story.
Yes, an absolute pleasure to be here.
Let's start off first with the news that rocked the nation at the start of this week. Before we look at the joys of Reggae Month, we also have to look at the losses that we have sustained. Stephen Cat Core is no longer with us, iconic member of the global hit band Third World, but also someone that will be going into Reggae Month mourning. Talk to us about your reflections of him.
Well, I think that the most exciting thing for me about Cat Core was his use of the cello in reggae. You know, we tend to think of reggae and classical music as completely different spheres, but Cat knew that the cello would have had a big impact in reggae, and he just brought it in. So for me, that is one of his visionary moves, recognizing the sophistication of reggae, that it could flex, it could adapt, it could accommodate all kinds of musical instruments. And you know, Cat was ill for quite some time on and off, and I think he lingered very long, and I know that we mourn him, but we have to recognize that time is passing. The older folks are going. We are now in the departure lounge. Somehow I'm older even than Cat. And so times change, but a new generation of artists is coming up, and they will continue the legacy.
That's the question for you, Professor Carolyn Cooper, because for many people, they're watching us celebrate the greats. They're watching us celebrate older, more established reggae artists, thinking here of the loss of Jimmy Cliff, the loss of Cat Core, but very alive, very well, very spunky and spicy Marcia Griffiths now being awarded that honorary doctorate at the University of the West Indies. But you've spoken about many of our reggae icons being in the departure lounge. Do you see a lot that gives you hope that reggae does not die in the way that we've come to become accustomed to it when these greats leave us? Is there still rich ground and fertile ground that still allows for us to have reggae today?
Let me use the analogy of jazz. So many of the greats of jazz have gone, but jazz isn't dead. There are new generations of artists who are coming up, who are constantly renewing the genre. And for example, reggae has all kinds of overlaps with dance hall, with jungle. I mean, the music is not stagnant. And one of the issues is that perhaps we in Jamaica don't realize how well reggae is doing globally. I don't know if you know about the Rotterdam Sunsplash Festival. Last year, they celebrated their 30th anniversary. I've been to that festival several times, and as part of the festival, they have what they call Reggae University. That is where the artists speak with journalists and academics about their work. And they acknowledge that the Reggae University idea came from the University of the West Indies, where we had set up a Reggae Studies Center. And so you have artists like the 2025 lineup had people like Tikinja Fokoli, that some of us don't know in Jamaica, a major reggae star. Then you have our traditional artists were there. Marcia Griffiths, you had, who else was there? Steel Pulse, well again, Steel Pulse, they are still the older generation. We had Mortimer, we had Nadine Sutherland. So as far as I'm concerned, reggae is safe. You just have to recognize Chronix is one of the artists who is carrying forward the music. Junior Gong is doing dancehall, but dancehall is now the equivalent of what reggae used to be generations ago. And we have to acknowledge that dancehall is the music of this generation, young people's music. And in 20, 30 years, we'll be asking if dancehall is dead, when the dancehall artists who are now in their 50s turn big man and dead. You understand? So I think to me it is a short-sighted question to ask if reggae is dying.
Well, but Professor Kupo, here's the thing. You're raising the specter now of a list of reggae artists. Reggae revival artists, younger artists like Mortimer or Chronix are in that newer genre of reggae. Yeah. But is it the better question, perhaps one that says, if reggae is alive and well, the associations that we've had about reggae belonging to Jamaica is what is shifting? That is, a lot of this reggae revival, this fortifying of reggae, giving it support, having festivals, isn't happening here in Jamaica. And therefore, what we are doing here in Jamaica in recognizing Reggae Month is embalming the idea of this older generation of reggae while the flourishing takes place elsewhere.
Well, embalming is a good word, because embalming is what you do to dead bodies. But I do not believe that reggae is dead. I believe that reggae is alive.
Is it dead in Jamaica?
I don't think reggae
or
is
at least on its deathbed, in ways that don't have government support, don't have funding support, don't have festivals, don't allow for many people to be going to things?
Reggae never start with government support, so forget that. Government support is not what is going to keep reggae alive. What is going to keep reggae alive is young artists who claim the genre as the medium through which they can express their consciousness of what is going on in the world, what is going on in Jamaica. We never needed government to create, because many times government institutions were hostile to the reggae artists. Look how much batter bruising Peter Tosh suffered. Peter Tosh at one point had to go on like him dead in a prison for them to stop beating. That is what the government institutions did to reggae, because reggae was associated with ganja. It was working class culture. It was not seen as respectable. So nobody talk about government. Yes, government is now doing reggae, reggae month and so.
Yes.
Well, listen, you cannot depend on government for creativity. Bureaucrats are generally not creative. So we have to depend on the artists with vision to keep reggae alive.
Well, the artists with vision are going to be important, but where are they? Where are we seeing the next generation of artists trained, funded, and exported? Because you've spoken of that crop of reggae artists right now, Chronix, you've spoken of Mortimer, but where are we seeing that next set of people who are coming into the genre?
Listen, is how was Mortimer trained? How was Chronix trained? It's the same way that the next generation will be trained, by listening to the music of the people who are older than them and picking out of it what they find valuable. This Rotterdam Sunsplash, let me tell you, when you see the lineup of artists, Marcia Griffiths was there. I mean, it's a mix of Jamaican and non-Jamaican artists. And then they also have a dancehall stage and they have a dub stage. We can talk about reggae, what about dub? Dub not dead in Jamaica. We never have dub club and a few other places where dub is valorized. Dub would have dead in Jamaica.
And I think that's such a great connection that you've made, because even predecessor genres still have places where they're celebrated, where they continue to grow and have people moving into those spaces. Professor Carolyn Cooper, we'll take a break with you inside Lead Story and come back, because it's clear that many Jamaicans are hearing these forms, discussing reggae, but not even understanding not only the history of where we're looking at, but also where we want to be going as we look at this art form. Stay with us inside Lead Story.
Set, go. Question: what matters the most to perform your best on a Sigma race day?
Speed.
No, what really matters is what's in here, your heart.
Sagicor Sigma Run. Register now at sagicorsigmarun.com.
Hi, I'm Landy. Welcome to NLA Connect, the National Land Agency's customer engagement platform. NLA Connect is a simple, user-friendly platform designed to help you share your feedback, get support, and updates about land-related matters. Available 24/7, NLA Connect allows you to share suggestions, comments, and commendations, submit queries and report issues, attach files with your requests, track requests and get real-time status updates, connect with NLA client engagement officers, and provide feedback on the service received by the platform. We're making it easier for you to connect with us. You can access NLA Connect via our website, using the kiosk at any of our offices, or scanning the QR code displayed at our locations. Need any help along the way? Check out our FAQs section. It has all the answers you need in one location. NLA Connect, your voice, our priority.
Welcome to What a Guan. Now, What a Guan is CVMTV's new Vox Pop program, Vibes Yes Vox Pop program. Hey Jamaica, you're watching What a Guan.
What a Guan. Coming to you from Montego Bay. Hello, my people.
What a Guan is back. The People's Program is back in full force this Monday at 8 a.m. on CVMTV.
What a Guan. What a Guan. Cross.
Set, go. Question: what matters the most to perform your best on a Sigma race day?
Speed.
No, what really matters is what's in here, your heart.
Sagicor Sigma Run. Register now at sagicorsigmarun.com.
Professor Emerita Carolyn Cooper joins us inside Lead Story Prime as we continue our discussion about Reggae Month, and the backdrop against which we are celebrating Reggae Month, February 2026. We'll be looking at this against the backdrop of having lost greats, but Professor Carolyn Cooper has also said to us there's a lot to be happy about. The richness of reggae that continues to be here with us. And he spoke about one of those predecessor forms, dub, saying that's not gone. Why would we believe that reggae would be gone? Talk to us about some of the other forms that we might not remember as we narrow this conversation to reggae, but forget that Jamaica has tons of other forms of music that we've been able to keep alive.
Mento still a go on, you know. And let me just tell you something about that reggae festival in Spain, Rotterdam. It started 30 years ago in Italy, moved to Spain. One of the artists on last year was Lanto Loop. Ever hear about them?
Never.
Them do reggae and dancehall. That kind of fusion is where the future of the music is. Because, you know, people like to say that reggae is dead and dancehall take over. But you have artists who are doing both reggae and dancehall and trying to fuse them. So our music is a music of creativity. And once you are creative, you will keep on creating hybrids. You keep on creating new musics. Remember reggae, you know, ska, rockset and all of those things. They are hybrid musics, you know. They came out of R&B and mento. When people talk about Jamaican music being stolen, so let them know where we thief music from.
And so that sort of syncretization, that pulling from various places, putting it together and creating now this new art form. There's a book that says all new art is just you putting it through you, this idea that you have to take from others, be inspired by others, and then come up with your own new form is a marker.
Festival, Spice was at the festival, Shaggy was at the festival. So here are these foreigners, people from Italy, who have seen the strength of our music. And they have gathered artists from across the globe who are celebrating reggae. That is something that must be admired.
It must be admired, and it must be known by Jamaicans as well as we talk about this.
Jamaicans don't know what is happening in the world when it comes on to the global impact of reggae. That's why I hosted a conference at the University of the West Indies good little while now on global reggae, where we did an audit of the impact of reggae across the globe. And a book came out, which I edited. It's still available in the University of the West Indies Press. This is like a promotion for the book. If you want to know about the global impact of reggae, go and buy Global Reggae.
There you go. And that helps people then to better appreciate and understand the impact of reggae, but also helps us then to introduce our next guest, because if we're talking about the global impact of reggae, the impact of Reggae Month, that specific thing that we created in 2008, now that we're celebrating once again in 2026, it needs to capture all the various parts you've spoken about, Professor Cooper.
Absolutely.
Colleen Douglas, cultural communications expert, welcome to Lead Story.
Hi, how are you?
I'm
my
doing
apologies
well.
about my camera. I can't turn on because we're without electricity.
Oh no.
Sorry about.
Thank you very much for joining us, even in the darkness of your own life. You've come to shed light on us inside Lead Story. As we talk about Reggae Month, as we talk about celebrating Reggae Month, themed resistance and resilience. What is this? What's the theme for this month? Rhythms of resilience. There you go. As we look at that, help us understand how important Reggae Month is and the backdrop against which we're celebrating it. The death of Jimmy Cliff, the death of Stephen Cat Core, and the celebration of the life, work, and legacy of Marcia Griffith.
Well, you know, the truth is, in 2008, when Reggae Month was declared, it was declared because reggae has really impacted the world. And we've had, I think you mentioned the Jamaica Reggae Industry Association. What you've mentioned is their theme. The ministry is saying catch the rhythm. Jaria is saying rhythms of resilience. I think it's really an appropriate theme, considering we just came out of a hurricane and we're still, parts of the West still recovering. But it is important because it's, as Professor Cooper said earlier on, people need to know what's happening to reggae across the world. And one of the main objectives of Reggae Month really was for Reggae Month to be a global event. We've made some inroads into that. If you notice now that there's a whole Reggae Month activity going on in the South Florida area, across the world. In Italy, I know people have Reggae Month events as well. You mentioned ones we've lost this year, Jimmy Cliff, Cat Core more recently. Ibu Cooper, who we lost 2 years ago, was very integral in the framing of what you now see as Reggae Month signature events. The Reggae Wednesdays, the Reggae Open University. I'm sure Caroline could tell you about Reggae University in the Rotterdam Festival.
And she has.
That was a mirror. The Reggae Open University was a mirror, but was always an idea Ibu had that we shouldn't just entertain at this time, but we should educate. So the conversations that are open about the music is what we have. But when I was called earlier on and I heard, oh, is reggae dying? I'm like, reggae is really evolving. There is no death in a music that has made such a big impact across the world. And it's evolving. It continues to evolve. We see artists, they continue to tour. Even artists who people think, I tell people Freddie has a show in Cayman in February at the end of the month.
And that's Freddie McGregor.
Yeah, and Freddie has been ill, as you know, but you give him the mic and he comes alive. So even artists sometimes, we also lost Max Romeo late last year after seeing him on the Wikiwaki Music Festival. But a few weeks ago, I went to the launch of Zano Romeo's album. Zano is his daughter. So the music continues. Empress Sativa just posted about a festival she just did in Goa. And so even artists...
And Goa is in India. So this is a far removed place now that persons might not even connect with reggae.
So and they connect with a sound. They connect with a sound. And when you are overseas and you're at these festivals and you see the impact of the music and the way the audience is responding, whether or not they do not know English, just the way they respond to the music, you know that it's powerful. It is why that when we lose anyone, we think that it's such a major impact, in as much as the music continue to live. I mean, if we look at the Third World has remained a strong band, even if the original members disbanded over the years or we lost them for one way or another. But the band continued to tour with new musicians. If you move around Kingston, there's this wonderful service Carolyn have to come and carry called Tuesday Service at the compound, where it's not a showcase necessarily of singers, but musicians. And that happens every Tuesday night with just young musicians who play with the music. They jam live music and they jam to recorded music, and that's happening over Kingston.
And I'm glad that you've raised these things, because for many people for Reggae Month, they're looking forward to now not only celebrating the music as a live form that's still here with us, evolving, as you've both made it very clear to us, but they'll also be looking for events and things to do. 30 seconds each as we close out. First, from you, Professor Carolyn Cooper, what do you hope people do for the month of February to remember and keep alive this art form of reggae?
What they must do is remember that Reggae Month should not be just 1 month. Reggae Month is 12 months for the year. Yes, we have a special focus in February, but we need to keep the music alive throughout the year. Yeah. That's my message.
I think that's so important, and that is a real call there. Jamaica doesn't need to have just a month set aside for the art form that we have created. Colleen Douglas, what's one thing that you want Jamaicans to then focus on as they look at Reggae Month beginning February 1?
I would say consciously and actively support the music. Go to a show, do not ask for a free ticket, actually go and pay for it. Buy the album so that artists and musicians can continue to earn a living. They support a whole ecosystem.
And we just had the release of Proteges Festival that talks about, like, has reggae artists on the lineup. You have that coming up as well. So you have these things that you can go to supporting the music and recognizing, as Professor Emerita Carolyn Cooper has said, that you don't just need 1 month to celebrate reggae here in Jamaica. You have the entire year. Professor Emerita Carolyn Cooper and Colleen Douglas, a cultural communications expert, thank you both for joining us as we reflect on the month to come, Reggae Month, here inside Lead Story.
An absolute pleasure.
A joy to have you ladies both with us inside the show. Now, tonight's conversations all point to the same tension. What happens when trust begins to fray? Because we had that whole discussion about the new finding from the Jamaica Constabulary Force, and what happens when we're now looking at culture, roots, music, and celebrating our cultural giants without a clear pathway for those coming after them. Now, you heard from both the ladies, we're not at risk of losing reggae completely.